Welcome back, guys. So in our last tutorial, we talked about the placeholder as we're building our form, and we want to proceed to another exciting part of the form, and that has to do with required attributes. So let's jump right into it. So we'll be going straight to step 41. So if you're just watching this video for the first time, I will encourage you to go back to previous tutorials so that we'll all be on the same page. So we're actually building a card photo app, and we're using the FreeCodeCamp platform for this particular project. So without much ado, let's jump right into it. So to prevent a user from submitting your form when required information is missing, you need to add the required attributes to an input element. So there is no need to set a value to be required. So what you need to do is just add the word required to the input element. And you have to make sure that there is space between that required attributes and other attributes. So let's see how it works. Let's see how it works. So let's add required to this. Required. Let's test our code. Congratulations. So that's amazing. So our code passes. So let's proceed. So step 42, use the button elements to create a clickable button. For example, button, then we have click here. So this creates a button with the text click here. So you will notice that the button element has an open tag and a closing tag. So what are we expected to do? Add a button element with the text submit below the input element. The default behavior of clicking a form button without any attributes submits the form to the location specified in the form's action attributes. So below, I'm going to add a button. So this is the button tag. So I'm going to close it up immediately so that we don't make mistakes. Then in the middle, I'm going to say submit. 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 So let's submit the button. Check the code. Congratulations. The code passes. So we're doing the right thing. Let's go to the next step. So I just want to mention that from time to time, as we're using this platform, this pop-up will come up asking us to donate. So you can donate. Feel free to donate. Donate whatever you want to donate. Okay. So just let's support the platform. It's a nice one. It's a good thing to do. Okay. But let's do that later and continue. So 43, even though you added your button below, the text inputs, they appear next to each other on the page. That's because both input and button elements are inline elements which don't appear on a new line. Now let's check. So you see, so this is the input and this is the submit button that we're talking about here. So this is so because both inputs and button are inline elements. All right, if you want to understand what inline elements, you can check out the previous videos where I explained inline and block. Okay, so the button you added will submit the form by default. However, relying on default behavior may cause confusion. So add the type attribute with the value submit to the button to make it clear that it is a submit button. So in the opening tag of the button, I'm going to add the type attributes and I'm going to say submit. So I'm now making it clear that it is a submit button. Okay, we do not want to rely on default behavior of our form or button. So this passes, okay? You're not going to see anything visible, but we have just done the right thing, and that is why our code passes. Okay, so now let's go to the next challenge. 44. You can use radio buttons for questions where you want only one answer out of multiple options. So here, what do we need to do? We have an example here. Here's an example of a radio button with the option of cats. Then we have the input type radio, cats. Then we have, remember that the input elements are self-closing tags. They are self-closing tags. So before the text input, add the radio button with the option set as indoor. Indoor. So before the text inputs, add a radio button with the option set as indoor. All right. So I'm going to have another radio button. So this is going to be another input. So I'm going to say type. The type this time around is going to be, let me close it up immediately to reduce errors. So this time I'm going to say radio. Radio. Okay. So before the text inputs, add a radio button with the option set as what? The option is going to set as what? As indoor. Indoor. Yep. Indoor. Indoor. So you can see this example that's given to us. So the option is cats. Okay. Then we have this. Okay, then we have another cat. So I can put this one in front. Let me put it in front. Okay. So let's test the code. Wow, it's working. Sorry, your code does not pass. Keep trying. So let's put it after. Let's put it after. Check. Congratulations. Awesome. So It passed. Let's proceed. So 45. Label elements are used to help associate the text for an input element with the input element itself, especially for assistive technologies like screen readers. For example, label, then input type, radio, then we have the cat, and then we close off the radio. So this makes it so clicking the word cat also selects the corresponding radio button. Now next the radio button inside the label. Next it inside the label. So I'm going to say label, close, and then I'm going to close up the label. Okay. So let's check the code. Congratulations, passes. All right, so move to the next. Move to the next. Now let's talk about the ID. This is another interesting attribute. So the ID attribute is used to identify specific HTML elements. Each ID attributes value must be unique from all other ID values for the entire page. So add an ID attribute with the value indoor to the radio button when the elements have multiple attributes. The order of the attributes doesn't matter. The order of the attributes doesn't matter here. So here, if you click, okay, so you see, all right. So let me do what I'm instructed to do. What we're instructed to do here is add ID attributes to the value indoor with the value indoor. So I'm going to say ID indoor. Yep, just done that. So let's check. Congratulations. All right, so let's submit the code and let's move on. So we are making progress. We are making progress. So now we are asked to do something else. And what is that? Say create another radio button below the first one. Next it inside a label elements with outdoor as the label text. Give the radio button an ID attribute with outdoor as the value. So create another radio button below the first one. Next label. Okay, so we're just essentially doing the same thing. So I'm going to say inputs type. This is going to be outdoor. So this is going to be radio. That's another one. Then I have outdoor, like so. And then I'm going to next it inside a label. So essentially, I'm doing the same thing like that of the indoor. So I close this label up. So I check. Sorry, it didn't pass. So what are we not doing correctly? Create a button. Create another radio button below the first one. Okay. Next it inside a label element with outdoor as the label. Give the radio button an ID attributes. Okay, give it an ID attribute. I've not done that. Of outdoor. It's not going to let me as the value. Let's check. So now the code is working. It's working now. Exactly. All right. Congratulations. So we're making progress. And submit and move on. So notice that both radio buttons can be selected at the same time. To make it so selecting one radio button automatically deselects another, both buttons must have a name attribute with the same value. So add the name attribute with the value indoor dash outdoor to both radio values. So this is what they mean. I can select indoor and select outdoor. Okay, you cannot deselect one of them. So for you to solve this problem, you need to give both of them the same name attributes. So you're going to give it a name attribute, and that name attribute is going to be indoor dash outdoor. Do the same name indoor dash outdoor. Okay, so let's check. Congratulations, it worked. So if I select, I can select one at a time. So you see, it's working. So let's submit. All right. So if you select the indoor radio button and submit the form data for the button is based on its name and value attributes. Since your radio buttons do not have a value attribute, the form data will include indoor dash outdoor is on, which is not useful when you have multiple buttons. So now add a value attribute to both radio buttons. For convenience, set the button's value attribute to the same value as its ID value. So what they are trying to tell us here is that if you do not set the value at all, it means that the value attribute is what? The form data will include indoor, outdoor. That is the name this is going to be on, but it's not useful when you have multiple buttons. So what we are asked to do now is to add a value attribute to both buttons. So I'm going to add a value attribute, and that value attribute, I'm going to give it, say for convenience, set the button's value attribute to the same value as the ID. So our ID is indoor. So I'm going to say value indoor. Do the same for the second button, value, and say indoor. So the value and the name, the ID, the value and the ID attributes can be given the same value. Okay? Yes, so let's test. Sorry, your code does not work. The outdoor value buttons attribute should be set to outdoor. Okay? Add the value attribute to both buttons. For convenience, set the button's value attribute to the same value as the okay. So here, for the second one is outdoor. So you don't go and give it indoor when it is outdoor. So that's how you check for errors in your code. So now it worked. Now it worked. So submit. Awesome. So now we are going to look at the field sets. So the field set element is used to group related inputs and labels together in a web form. Field set elements are block level elements, meaning that they appear on a new line. So next, the indoor and outdoor radio button within a field set element, and don't forget to indent the radio button, okay? Don't forget to indent them. All right, so I'm going to say field sets. I close it